Survivor takes all the chaos of Deep Rock Galactic and dumps it onto the shoulders of one poor dwarf. No backup, no respawns, it's just you, a mountain of minerals to mine, and about 1 billion angry bugs. Hey folks, I'm Ash, and today we're gonna find out if Survivor lives up to the Deep Rock Galactic name, or if it stumbles around like a dwarf after one too many drinks at the Abyss Bar. Much like the rest of the genre, the combat in Survivor is fully automated. Your dwarf fires and reloads on his own, while you have to handle the important bits like dodging bugs, mining minerals, and hoovering up those very precious EXP fragments so you can unlock bigger and better toys. It is a very simple premise, but simple does not mean easy. The difficulty curve ramps up fast. Even the very first hazard level, the one that's usually meant for actual babies, will happily flatten you if you're not paying attention. And the higher you go, the more the game will force you to think carefully about builds, positioning, and your priorities. And you know what? I really like that. For a game that is so mechanically straightforward, that extra thick layer of strategy is exactly what keeps things interesting. The problem is that Survivor never ever eases off. From the second you drop in, it is non-stop pants on fire chaos. Even after 20 hours, I still cannot reliably finish every side objective or scoop up all of the minerals. There is just always a massive horde breathing down my neck. And victory doesn't buy you a moment of peace either. Once you beat the level boss, you're hit with a very brutal 30-second escape timer. Miss it and you'll be left behind like poor Carl. It's always go 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 with Survivor, which is exciting, yes, but also mentally exhausting. So despite liking the difficulty, I do feel like the game needs to pace itself better. There should be a series of build-ups and releases so the player doesn't get overwhelmed, rather than the current shake a cola can until it explodes style of approach. Pretty much every weapon from Deep Rock Galactic makes a return, along with a few newcomers I would honestly love to see in the main game. My favorite example being the flamethrower Roomba. They all serve the same basic purpose of turning bugs into paste, but they're different enough in how they operate to feel genuinely distinct. Some are turrets you drop and forget, others create a light show around you, and a few, my personal favorites, just spew fire everywhere. Each of the 4 dwarves also come with their own signature weapons and stats, and I am happy to say that none of them feel stronger or weaker than the rest. The same cannot be said for the weapons themselves. Because of reasons that I cannot even begin to fathom, Survivor has guns that only shoot forward. That design makes sense in games like Vampire Survivors where you're constantly kiting enemies in open space. But in Survivor, you spend half of your time burrowing through rocks. And while you're mining, those weapons just don't do anything. So now you're stuck choosing between grabbing resources or actually defending yourself, which is about as fun as it sounds. So yeah, not every weapon is a winner, but thankfully the upgrade system does give you plenty of ways to tweak them. Each time you level up, you'll get a chance to improve your gear. Usually that means a small stat increase, but occasionally you'll unlock overclocks. The big, fancy upgrades that completely change how a weapon plays. And honestly, I really love these things. They give you loads of options to experiment with. If you're tired of your turrets just sitting around and being lazy, you can give them tank treads. If you want a fireworks show, you can crank up the fire rate at the cost of accuracy. If you want to save time and be efficient, you can make them mine for you. Or, if you're feeling particularly spicy, you can stack all of those at once and just watch the world burn. Unfortunately, the regular updates are mostly just boring stat increases. More damage here, faster reload there, and so forth. Now I understand you need some bread to hold a sandwich together, not everything can be a hit. but slamming down an entire loaf onto the plate is not the way to go. And that is a real shame, because Survivor can do exciting upgrades, it's just that they're very, very rare. Take, for example, the Flamethrower's legendary update that gives you an extra fire beam. Mechanically speaking, it is essentially just more damage, but it looks and feels awesome. It is the kind of upgrade that gets you excited and makes you go yes whenever it shows up. As it stands, leveling honestly feels like a bit of a roller coaster. Every once in a while you get a big thrill, but most of the time you're just waiting. The good news is that Survivor isn't just using Deep Rock Galactic as a coat of paint. It genuinely feels like Deep Rock Galactic through and through. The weapons, the sound design, the biomes, it is all authentic. Even the mission flow follows the same kind of rhythm. Mine minerals, fight swarms, and then run around in a blind panic when things go sideways. And much like the main game, each mission has a main objective that has to be done or you're not going home, plus a side objective such as collecting Bulu caps for extra resources. Along the way, you'll also mine gold and nitra for run-based upgrades, as well as precious minerals for that permanent progression system. So as you can see, it really is a faithful adaptation. And for a while, I was genuinely happy with just that. Being able to dig through terrain gives you lots of options on how to approach fights, and the resource variety pushes you to explore every nook and cranny of the levels, which is something I really love doing anyway. But there is a problem. Survivor only has 2 mission types: escort the drill dozer and kill dreadnoughts, and that is simply it. Now these are well-made missions, but even then, after a few dozen runs, the repetition really sets in hard. What really baffles me is how easily this could have been avoided. Deep Rock Galactic's missions are mostly simple. Go somewhere, do a thing, defend against a swarm, and repeat. Translating that into Survivor should have been remarkably easy. So to see it launch with only 2 mission types and 3 side objectives total feels strangely rushed for a game that is otherwise remarkably polished. Even stranger, despite the mission variety being limited, Survivor buries you in progression systems. There is so much stuff to unlock, it almost feels endless. Like the developers knew the missions were a bit thin, so they stuffed the game full of unlocks instead. First of all, you've got the genre staples, permanent stat upgrades bought with currency you earn in missions. They're nothing groundbreaking, but they're accessible to even the most casual of players and, in my humble opinion, very satisfying to chip away at. Then there is gear, bits of equipment you can slap onto your dwarves to help customize their playstyle. Again, very simple, but very effective. And then come the masteries. These are special challenges that let you permanently buff your weapons, your dwarves, and even your stats in individual biomes. And if you beat them again on a higher hazard level, you'll get an even bigger buff. It is truly a staggering amount of stuff to unlock. The good thing is, none of this grind is mandatory unless you're chasing the hardest difficulties. So if you like that kind of long-term progression, you'll probably sink hundreds of hours here. But personally, after 20 hours or so, I had my fill. I had a great time, but eventually it all started to feel like I'd been there, dug that, and honestly, I just kinda stopped. So, the big question, is Survivor worth playing? Well, Survivor is a game I genuinely enjoyed, even though it really couldn't keep me hooked forever. The gameplay is satisfying, the dwarves and their arsenal are nicely varied, and it captures the spirit of Deep Rock Galactic far better than I expected. But with only 2 mission types and so much repetition, it is hard to ignore just how quickly it wears itself thin. Still, given its low price tag and just how much fun it can be in short bursts, I would still recommend it. Just don't expect it to be your next forever game. It is more of a bite-sized treat. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like the video, subscribe, hit the stupid bell, pet your favorite dwarf, and do whatever the nonsense you gotta do these days. Thank you for sticking to the very end, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye bye!